Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 4 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we finish off the season in Homestead, Miami for both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Now, as obviously we missed the Final Four in the Cup Series unfortunately due to Martin Truex Jr. winning, and we made a big mistake on the final lap. But first we had the Xfinity Series where we had subscriber Joe Quinn Stewart in the car starting about midfield. Our car for the mile-and-a-half track here was actually damaged from the last time out quite significantly to where we couldn't get all the performance out of this car here today in Miami. So Joe Quinn struggled quite a bit, running in the mid-20s for most of this race, where he would end up falling down to about P27 or so as he started this final lap here in Miami. As he came through turns 3 and turns 4, just trying to get whatever he could out of this car that just wasn't all there with the performance here today in Miami. But he crossed the line to actually come through to finish P28. But now it's time to set our sights on the Final Four for the Cup Series, where we're going to get things rolling here, where we have Kyle Busch, who has 10 wins this season. He's been dominant in stage wins and poles, looking for his second championship, because when we started this career mode, he only had one championship, so keep that in mind. Next is Chase Elliott, who has 2 wins this season, both coming in the playoffs. He has momentum on his side, looking for his first championship in his Cup Series career, as well as his first Final Four appearance today. And now is next up Brad Keselowski, 3 wins this season, with 1 recently in Martinsville, locking himself into the Final Four. He looks for championship number 2 as well, with some recent momentum carrying him into this Final Four. And last, we got Truex Jr., Martin Truex Jr., 3 wins this season, including last race at ISM. He is also looking for championship number 2. So Elliott looking for championship number 1, Truex, Kyle Busch, and Keselowski looking for championship number 2. So we start things off with qualifying here in Miami, where we came through to cross the line with a 32.1, and we qualify in the 8th position. So we're about to see where the Final Four stacks up here in Miami. Kyle Busch, P7, is the best of the Final Four. Elliott down in P10, and then we got Keselowski and Truex even lower.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway for the Ford EcoBoost 400. Tonight, NASCAR will crown the next Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. Over 40 drivers started this season with high hopes and big dreams. But after a long season, only 4 drivers still have a shot at the title.
All right, thank you, Rick Allen. We're ready to go green here for the championship finale in Homestead, Miami. There you see Joey Logano on the pole. Tyler Reddick starting at the back after failing optical scanning station multiple times. We're ready to get this championship race underway. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, and Chase Elliott all going against each other for the championship. Kyle Busch starts the furthest up in the field. Now as the green flag is that the Final Four race in Miami is underway. You're about to see the lighting difference here with the little replay glitch that just doesn't work with the lighting correctly. Now as we go down towards turns 1 and turns 2 on this opening lap here in the Final Four race in Homestead, Miami. Kyle Busch has 10 wins on the season. If anyone other than Kyle Busch wins this championship, it'd be kind of an upset now, as Kyle Busch has just run away. He ran away with the regular season championship, and surprisingly, he's only got 1 win in the playoffs after winning 9 races in the regular season. So he certainly hasn't been as strong in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be an opportunity for his 3 contenders here today in Miami as we come through to complete this first and opening lap here in Miami. Looking to the outside of Ryan Newman. We've seen Ryan Newman up here in the top 10 quite a bit recently in the career mode. If he can continue to bring that on next season, he could definitely be up inside the playoff grid now as we come through out of turn 2, utilizing that outside to my advantage. As you guys know, if I can run the outside, I'm going to get up there now as we go down towards turns 3 and turns 4. Obviously, the news came out a few episodes back that we will be in the 41 car next season, and that will be our final season in the 41 car before going to the 2020 DLC, which I would assume would be out by the end of our next season, and then we'll have to come through and find a new team. So we're going to figure out where we're going throughout next season and see what happens. Now as we would actually lose a little bit of time there to Denny Hamlin, we would get in behind Hamlin, start pushing him down the straightaways, giving him some help as we had a lot of cars battling up here together. Logano leading the way, but you see right there, Keselowski had actually gotten up to P3. He was now leading the championship battle. Kyle Busch had actually fallen off a little bit, but Truex, he had gotten up here now behind me in P7, so it was Kyle Busch, surprisingly, and the 9 of Chase Elliott, who were both falling behind and struggling. So right now, Keselowski leading this championship battle as we came through turns 1 and turns 2, just continuing to run this outside, but the caution comes out for the first time here today in Homestead, Miami. A bit of a mixed strategy going on. Kyle Busch Busch was P10, so he wasn't too far behind, but we had some cars staying out and a bunch of cars coming in, so I decided that we were going to come into the pit lane and see what we could make happen. Denny Hamlin, the leader, staying out here. He was certainly driving away at this point. Obviously, we were right around him earlier trying to help him out, but we lose 6 positions on the pit lane. Harvick just in front of us, Keselowski to our inside. As you see, all the cars that stayed out in front of us now as the green flag is back out, now past the halfway point already here in this first stage in Miami. 6 laps to go in stage 1. Denny Hamlin out front, but now we know we have fresh tires, and most of the cars ahead of us have no fresh tires at all, and you can see the speed difference already. We're already having to get out of that throttle quite significantly to make sure we don't run into the back of our Stewart-Haas Racing teammate Kevin Harvick, who had a very kind of slow down season considering where the 4 is usually running, so we'll see if Harvick can bounce back next season, as we certainly led this SHR club this season here in our second season in the Cup Series. Now as we come through out of turns 4, you can see now the tire difference. We were flying past everybody now as we came through to cross the line. We would run down this next group of cars here, and we would get to the outside of them down the back straightaway, right behind now the 22 of Joey Logano, who was battling with William Byron as we came through turns 3, and we would get to the outside of Logano, pass him, but surprisingly, we couldn't run down the 11 of Denny Hamlin. That's just how fast the 11 of Denny Hamlin was, because we come now to the final lap, and I hadn't been able to close in at all on the 11 of Denny Hamlin as we go down into turns 3 and turns 4 for the final time here in stage 1. So Hamlin certainly looking like he's going to be the car to beat. He and myself should have both been in the final 4 on points, but obviously Truex and Elliott won their way in, and we crossed the line to get P2 here in stage 1. So Hamlin and myself kind of making a statement that maybe it should have been me and him in that final 4 instead now, as we would come through again, though, at the end of the stage to pit again for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 tires. Kyle Busch fell all the way back to P24 after all those slow cars got in the way. That could be huge for his championship chances. Brad Keselowski leads the championship battle after the first stage. Truex is within range, but Elliott and Kyle Busch find themselves behind now as the second stage is underway here at Homestead, Miami. 17 laps, so Kyle Busch definitely has a lot of work cut out for him. He needs to be within that top 15 or so at least if he wants to have a chance to fight for the championship. As Harvick takes us 3 wide into turns 1 for the lead. A bit of a late move on his part as I turned directly down into Hamlin. Wasn't really expecting Harvick to make that move as we push the 11 down this back straightaway here as we go down towards turn 3. Jones trying to get to our left rear now as Almirola's just behind us. Eric Almirola has 1 win this season at Sonoma. Now as we actually get into the outside wall there through turns 3 and turns 1. We hit it again as we're sideways and we overcorrect nearly into the side of the 2. We do hit the 2 of Keselowski as we nearly take out a championship contender as the car just got away from me there after I hit the wall, and thankfully we hang on to it, keep the car straight now as we're 3 wide with the 22 and another championship contender, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Don't want to interfere with Truex too much now as we head down this back straightaway, trying to give them the space that they need. Harvick at this point still leads the way down this back straightaway as we go down into turns 3 of the inside of the 19. Logano backed out of that 3 wide, and this was kind of my first time right down by that white line, and the 19 was able to keep me pinned down as we would lose the position for a brief moment here to Truex, as we would though be able to get past him and climb up all the way to P10 now as we came through turns 1, and we actually get into the wall again as the car just did not turn there, and as we come through turns 2 the car just goes straight up into the outside wall, and we knock the right side in and get quite significant damage on the right side of the car, as I had no idea what happened there. Into turns 1 I had the wheel, usually just turn left like I usually have it, and it just drifted right into the wall, and then when we hit it, it just went straight again. But after that happened, I didn't have that problem again, which was very odd, as I'm not sure exactly what went wrong there. The car just, for 1 corner, decided to not turn for us. Now as we came through to lap 13, trying to rally our way back from the time losses. We gained that time after that first wall hit, and then we hit the wall again, unfortunately. Now here we find ourselves in P13, but we would pass Logano, as well as I believe that was Matt Tifft or something in front of him, so we would get up through now to P11 behind Stenhouse, who's blowing up as we come through to cross the line with 2 to go on the stage, and the caution comes out, ends the second stage a lap or so early, and now we finish P10 as Keselowski still leads the championship, P3 right now here in Miami. Truex P6, so at this moment, Elliott 17th, Kyle Busch 18th. Kyle Busch, an unfortunate turn of events for him. It looks like his chances of this championship might be over.
Drive
It looks like in this third and final stage, it's going to come down to Brad Keselowski and Martin Truex Jr., who are currently lined up on bumper to bumper as the final stage is underway in this season. 27 laps to go from the 10th position here to start this third and final stage. Can Keselowski get his second championship, or will Truex get the best of him here in stage 3? Right now, behind us, Elliott and Kyle Busch. I think we can honestly write them off at this point. Kyle Busch just has too much ground to make up, and Elliott, there you see him behind us actually on that bottom lane. He might have a chance here if he can make up a bunch of ground in these next few laps. You see the two of Keselowski all the way to the top. There's Truex is trying to put the pressure on him now as we go down this front straightaway. We're using this outside, obviously, as usual, going up the outside of the 12 of Ryan Blaney's going down into turns 1. So Logano and Blaney on that inside lane. The two Penske drivers. Logano had a fairly strong season. Didn't quite make it to the Final Four, obviously. Last season in our career mode, he won the championship in a bit of a controversial finish from myself that we created there with wrecking Tyler Reddick. So Logano, he's obviously now a two-time champion, but it doesn't look like he's really in the mix here today in Miami now in this final stages. We would continue through to now pass Eric Jones, as well as we had now climbed up into P7, passing him down this back straightaway. We would get to Martin Truex Jr. here on lap 43, and we just continue to move forwards. We had actually gotten up to P7, not past Martin Truex Jr. though. He would drive away. He had passed Almirola, Kevin Harvick, and you see up there, Denny Hamlin. He had been driving away this whole race, as you guys have noticed. But Keselowski leading the championship in P2, Truex in P3, trying to put the pressure on Keselowski now as he came through on lap 51, still running behind the 4 of Harvick. As you see, Truex on the bottom, Keselowski up to the top. They're both battling it out for this championship lead, with the championship leader, Brad Keselowski's blowing up now as we exit turn 2 down the back straightaway. His whole season has just been destroyed by a malfunction in his engine. Absolute heartbreak for Brad Keselowski, who has led this championship battle since towards the midway point of the first stage. He is now done. His season is over after leading the championship battle with less than 20 laps to go. We would get passed by Tyler Reddick, I should mention. Keselowski, he came to the pit lane, but surprisingly, he was like 2 laps down, so obviously his season's over, but he would get back out on track. But unfortunate turn of events for Keselowski, and surprisingly, we're still green at this point. Martin Truex Jr. had no competition at all right now, so he's just hoping it stays green, because if it stays green and he doesn't have an issue, Martin Truex Jr. will run away with this championship. We come to less than 10 laps to go already now, still green this whole time as we continue to run in P4 behind the 31 of Tyler Reddick, who seems to run really well at this track. Now as we came to lap 60, green flag pit stops were starting to happen. Denny Hamlin, he stays out, and Martin Truex Jr., though, he comes to the pit lane. So does Tyler Reddick. There's still a possibility that something could go wrong. A caution could come out, but surprisingly, down this back straightaway on the next lap, I decided to come in as I'm actually running out of fuel as we went down into turn 3. The car was starting to sputter, but still no caution. The last stage, last episode in ISM Raceway went all green, which was a surprise, and it looks like, to our surprise, it's going to happen again here today in Homestead, Miami, as we would come in to put 1 can of fuel in the car. Decided no tires was going to be the call, no repairs, as we did not have any damage from this final stage. Thankfully, haven't even hit the wall, I don't think, in this final stage. Now, as we would take a 6.1 second estimated pit stop, and we would surprisingly come out in front of the 11 of Denny Hamlin. So he had a terrible entrance or something as we come out just in front of him. So I was thinking maybe I made the wrong call with no tires or something. They took tires. No, he just had a bad pit stop, because Martin Truex Jr., he goes flying by for the lead as we exit turn 2. So Truex leading the race, just hoping that it stays green, because his biggest competitor, Keselowski, has had a season ended by a engine failure. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, nowhere to be found, because when Keselowski blew the engine, they got held up even more by him. So we come through turns 3 and turns 4 behind Reddick. Hamlin was hauling behind us. As you can see him just flying down the straightaway. I decided to stay over to the right-hand side of the track and let him go, as it looked like Hamlin might actually have the speed to somehow still run down Martin Truex Jr. as we're dealing with lap traffic. Certainly wasn't expecting this type of race here in Miami. Now as the tire icon had come on at this point, but it stays green the whole final stage, and we have green flag pit stops, and the championship leader blows up. So that's certainly unfortunate, as Harvick, he would get past me as I was starting to struggle quite significantly. We come to just 2 laps to go here in Homestead, Miami. Denny Hamlin had actually run down his teammate of Martin Truex Jr. As you can see, the lap traffic we were dealing with, a good chunk of lap traffic at this point, but Martin Truex Jr. just wants to make it another half a lap and see the final lap here as he looks for championship number 2 as we go down towards turns 3. Reddick in P4, Harvick 3rd, and Hamlin has made the pass on Martin Truex Jr. for the lead here. Coming to the final lap, Landon Castle, he sends it down into the pit lane. Now as the white flag is in the air, the next flag is official. Kyle Busch had 10 wins on the season coming into this race, and he's had a terrible attempt here in Homestead, Miami. He was looking like he was going to win the championship last season until the final restart when everything went downhill for him. So Kyle Busch certainly does not have the best luck here in Homestead, Miami, apparently. Chase Elliott, he wasn't really in the picture. Brad Keselowski had won his way into this round with a win in Martinsville, but blew an engine, leading the championship battle. And Martin Truex Jr. wins an ISM, and he will come through to win his second Cup Series championship in Homestead, Miami, as we come through to finish the season off in the 5th position. Not a bad way to finish our season off at all now, as you see the finishing order on your screen. Elliott was 13th. Kyle Busch 19th. Keselowski blew the engine, but still rallied back because he didn't have to pit when everyone else did, so he still got 23rd, but obviously that blown engine ended everything for him, unfortunately. So I actually, I forgot that once you finish the season, it doesn't let you see the point standings, so I only got like the top 10 in points here for you guys to see. Unfortunately, there's Bowman rounds up the top 10, but we get P6 in the points now as Martin Truex Jr. comes through to do his championship burnout. He is now a 2-time Monster Energy Cup Series champion. Can he go 3 within our next season? As obviously, like I said, we'll be in the 41 car for one more season, and then we have all of next season to figure out what's going to happen now, as Martin Truex Jr. is now a 2-time Cup Series champion, joins Joey Logano, who got his second one last season. As I said after the race, we had a great season. Can't wait for one final season with the 41 team, and hopefully we can get just as good as a team after the 41 when we leave there. So as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. In the next one, we will be having a special video, actually. Episode 99 will be an off-season video where I'm going to be showing you guys basically the Xfinity team, the truck team that we're going to be running, the drivers we're going to have in the roster, as well as it will be announced that I will be running the Rolex 24 in the off season here, so you guys are going to see how that goes as well, hopefully now. And in episode 100 it will be the Daytona 500, so that's kind of why I was doing this special off season video, so we could have Daytona as episode 100. So in the next episode we'll get everything caught up in how things went in the off season, so I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you all enjoyed the season. One more season with the 41. Can we get our first championship? We're going to find out. So thank you all for watching, and have yourselves a great day, everybody.